I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, what are the ingredients to a happy marriage? Well, my next guest, Jeff Mathews, knows a little bit about that. He's been married for decades, and he has written a definitive guide to keeping your marriage happy and healthy. It is called Marriage Cardiology 101, Knowing the Symptoms of Marriage Heart Trouble. We'd like to thank Jeff for joining us here today, and we'd like to thank the folks at Sweet Spire Literature Management for helping us put Jeff in the spotlight. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us here on our show.
Thank you very much, Logan. It is good to be here, and we're excited about what you are doing and what we're about to do to inspire the people.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Loved your book. I know it's faith-based, and that is a cornerstone of your recipe for a happy marriage. Let's tell the folks what Marriage Cardiology 101 is all about.
Yeah, Logan, what Marriage Cardiology 101 is all about, it is about being totally committed to your marriage, regardless of the attack that may come against your marriage. And what we have found out is the significance about a great marriage is being committed, connected, and regardless, again, of what come against your marriage, is staying connected. Because what the enemy wanted to do is bring a battle to destroy the family and destroy the marriage. And one of the greatest things I've learned, Logan, is when those dark moments hit your marriage, this is the time to stand up and walk out the promises that you made when you made your vows to your wife, to your husband.
Absolutely. I think remembering your vows always is important. The day you stand before God, your family, your friends, where you are so in love, where you're promising to always be good to each other, to respect each other, to obey each other. And I think that does get lost in the mix. And you say in the book that the devil's deceit is behind just married. Tell me what you mean by that.
Yeah, well, the thing of it is what the devil want to do is to call, whenever battles and circumstances come into our marriage, he wants us to fall away from the promises that we made to our loved one. And what I've learned is that he want to deceive us, that the text that maybe have come against our marriage is set there to separate us and to cause us to deal with the pain, but to deal with it in a negative manner. But what I have learned, once again, Logan, is that the more that we stay connected to those vows we made, then we can rise up against those dark moments that separates most marriages. And once again, that is when the attack comes. And one of the things that I've learned in the battle, even while in the real battle, while a senior pastor in Iraq, is when the battle comes, in particular against the family and against the marriage, now it's time for us to stand firm on the promises, stand firm on what we know about each other and the husband or the wife, so that we can have a successful marriage.
Absolutely, absolutely. You have had quite an amazing background. As you alluded to, you served in Iraq as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for the most part, Logan, when I served 29 years in the military, and when I got ready, and of course I've been married coming into 2023, my wife and I will celebrate 40 years of a blessed marriage. Going into a battle in Iraq, preaching the gospel to men and women from all over our nation, what I've learned is that I have learned that, once again, the deeper the battle is, whether it be the battle, in this case, in my book, is your marriage, you discover that some things that I found out as it relates to marriage and battle that is significant in every way of our life. And those things are in a battle, what I've learned and about me, what I've learned about me and about my marriage, and even about the 29 years of military, and again, in a battle in Iraq, is every battle, including the marriage, I found three things that's significant that I find that's successful for a marriage and is successful to win battles of life. One, I found out you got to discover purpose for the battle, praise, and that is sacrificial praise in a battle, and possibilities. So what I found out is, particularly in my marriage, and what most people need to learn about a marriage and successful marriage is, and the deceit is that the devil brings, when he brings attacks. In my case that I'm talking about in the book was a heart attack that started the challenge in my book and in our marriage. When my wife had a heart attack, I found out that you can rise above these attacks, but you do it by staying in faith, staying with God, staying with your promise. You and your wife stand together so that you can rise above every battle, so that you can be a hope for those that have lost hope.
It was devastating to you when you found out that your wife had suffered a major heart attack, right?
Yes, it was, Logan, because, one of the things that really has blessed my wife and I, again, as we're preparing for our 40th marriage celebration and our anniversary, is that we've always stayed together. Everybody that saw us, for the most times, they always see us together. So when my wife said to me one day that she was experiencing chest pains, that really floored me, because I'm like, oh my God, Lord, this is my blessed wife of all of that you have blessed me with. So anyway, we go to the ER. I sent my wife to the ER, after which I called the 911, get into the hospital, get into the ER. The cardiologist come back, of course, called me into the room, and he said, your wife suffered a major heart attack. Now, when he said she suffered a major heart attack, he also shared with me, Logan, that most female with the type heart attack she shared do not survive. So when they told me that, I went into prayer with God, and I think he left out of the room, the cardiologist, and I spoke with God, and the Lord told me, he said, son, what you're experiencing with your wife, many marriages across America and across the world are suffering. And that is, she suffered blocked arteries in her heart that caused the heart attack. So the Lord spoke in my spirit, and he said, son, once again, marriages across the world are suffering what is called blocked arteries in the heart of their marriage. And I desire for you to put in print, to share with the world, that blocked arteries are in the heart of marriages across the world. And if they are not covered, if they are not protected, they will suffer what is called marriage cardiac arrest. So I put the book in print, Logan, and it has been a blessing, more than I can imagine. You can only imagine.
Absolutely. It's a blessing to the readers too, because they'll get some really great advice and guidance on keeping your marriage strong and healthy. And
Absolutely.
We thank God that your
Absolutely.
wife survived that awful heart attack, and that she's with you now to celebrate your 40th anniversary. And I think that's a wonderful milestone, a wonderful achievement. And I'm sure that you guys will be exquisitely happy on your 40th.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You talk in the book about the marriage heart healthy diet. Tell me a little bit what that's about.
Yeah, the heart healthy diet, Logan, is doing those things that keep that marriage healthy. And one of the things that has kept us, our marriage healthy, is that each and every day we rise, we try to do something significant that day, this day, than we didn't do that we did beyond yesterday. And one of the things that we do each and every day is not only that we tell each other that we love each other, but we share the word of God together. And what that does is strengthen us for what the devil may intend to bring in this particular day. What God has allowed us to do, we go over and we make certain that we connect in how much we mean to each other. That needs to be done each and every day. And we do it every day because, again, we realize that we are blessed to still be here because of what my wife had experienced. So each and every day when we put something into today that we didn't do yesterday, we are building a platform of longevity of a successful marriage. And we do this each and every day. So it is significant that we do something new. Because see, what the devil plays on in a marriage is what you keep doing simultaneously that is old. But what we have to do as believers, as people, particular people of God, we have to do something new that's going to strengthen that marriage, because the devil knows that if we can continue to do the things that are old, he's going to come in and he's going to bring a battle. And once again, what he wants us to do in our marriage is to get into a battle, because he knows that we cannot win the battle alone. We fight in our own strength. We cannot win that. So each and every day we strengthen our healthy heart with a new diet, saying, honey, I love you. What can we do once again today that we didn't do yesterday, that we can strengthen our home, strengthen our marriage? Because one thing again that I know, I've begun to understand about the battle, again, marriages in this world, in America, is in a battle. And we have got to be able to learn, Logan, how to win the battle, and we cannot win it by ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. When you fight with your wife or you fight with your husband, you're really fighting against yourself, because God has joined you as one. And it's like trying to destroy your left arm or your right arm. I mean, you need to be in the battle together, as you say.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah. Tell me how you think marriage changes over the years. I know when you first get married, you're head over heels, you're passionately in love. And then, life changes, time changes, the relationship changes. It can be a change for better, though, I believe, don't you?
Yes, it can be changed for better. And the way we start that, Logan, is when we show the significant amount of care that we have for each other in our marriage. And see, one of the things that is significant that I've learned and I demonstrated is, for instance, when I brought my wife home from the ICU after the cardiologist, they released my wife from home. Well, we came home, and so what I made up in my mind, because what we ultimately want to do with my wife and I, we want to make a difference in the earth because of the Lord has kept my wife alive. So what we want to do to try to change the narrative as it relates to really sticking like glue to your wife is, when I brought my wife home from the ICU, I made up in my mind that my first ministry is my wife. So because of the fact of that, Logan, I did not go to church for 5 consecutive months because I wanted to stay with my wife. My goal as a man of God, as a minister, is to minister first to my wife. So because of that, I stayed home with her 5 months. But here's the key, here's the significant thing, is that while we're at home, I finished recording Marriage Cardiology 101 because I had not released it yet. But what God gave me is what is called Family Ministry Love Agreement. This is what changes the balance, the outlook of marriage, when we understand marriage, understand the significance of FMLA. And here's the significance I want you to get, Logan, that changes, that can help us again, open the eyes of the world of what marriage is about. God allowed me to put in the book, as I gave the definition, FMLA, and we had been at home 5 months, hadn't gone to church. It's when I did that, I put in a definition from heaven that God gave me, which was health condition not favorable to go to church. So notice these words, health condition not favorable to go to church. And I released the book in 2019. 5 months later, 2020 comes. Now, when the coronavirus comes, health condition not favorable to attend a local church, what God had me release, now the whole world is not in church because of the virus in 2020. This is how we make a difference in the world, Logan. How we stick like glue to our husband, to our wife, to our family, to our marriage.
Absolutely. I think the pandemic and the COVID-19 outbreak was a time for couples to grow closer together, to realize their importance to each other, and to realize in many cases, you're all I have, right?
That is absolutely right, Logan. You just said it. You are all I have. Because what me and my wife did while we, again, prior to the pandemic, we were having church at home because once again, as she is recovering from her heart attack, we are having church at home. Again, because, I did not go to church again for these 5 months. So we were having Bible study at home. We was breaking bread together at home, and we was doing the thing that God, I believe, bringing to the family is the significance. We were having church at home. I believe we're in a time right now, Logan, where God is speaking to the family about the significance of their marriage and their family coming together at home, where the Lord allowed us to do that. And when we did that, it changed our whole entire world. So what I do in the book, Marriage Cardiology, I demonstrate and I give what I call 5 arteries of blockages that just really destroy the greatest marriages. And one of those arteries that are blocked in the heart of the marriages that I have discovered that the Spirit of the Lord gave me, it's what I call the artery of hope. And once the artery of hope is blocked in that marriage, Logan, that marriage has lost its intensity to ride from the dark storms. So those are the things that I talk about in marriage cardiology. How do we protect from those arteries getting blocked that we develop, that marriage develop, once again, what I call marriage cardiac arrest. So God has given us that, and we've been blessed to be able to demonstrate. And we demonstrate that in the book.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel that if there's enough love there in the beginning of the relationship, that love should only grow and should be there to sustain you during temptation and during other hard times, during a marriage, disagreements, hardships, financial hardships, health hardships, that if you do follow what you prescribed in the book, you will actually just keep on increasing that bond and your love will get stronger and better.
Absolutely, you said it. It increased the bond. And one of the things is significant. Notice how the Bible talks about in Deuteronomy chapter 15, chapter 5, how the Bible said that a man should not go off to war for the first year until he build that bond, as you just mentioned. And so what I have found out is when you build that bond, you build a protective shield around every attack that comes in your marriage. As you mentioned, whether it be through temptation, whether it be through financial situations, whether it be through things that's going on your job, it does not matter. But that bond builds something, and it opened the eyes to the world around you. For instance, my wife and I, because that bond that we have, we would go to this store for 5 years, my wife and I. Every time we went, Logan, we was together. One time my wife stepped in one time without me there. And the people who know that we will always come together, they saw my wife and they go, oh, I didn't know who you was because you didn't have your husband.
Right.
Why is that? See, we open the eyes of the world when we have that bond, as you mentioned, together. Because the Bible says it this way. The Bible says that the husband and wife, once we're together, 1 Peter 3:7 says that we are the grace for life. And so what the people in the story was telling us is that we're the grace. They saw something because they see it through that bond. And what God does is he builds that through your darkest storms in that marriage, through your darkest battle. This was a dark battle for us, Logan, with the heart attack. But because of the fact we followed God, we stayed with God, now he has given us an opportunity to be an eye opener of hope for the marriages out there. And that's what we do in the book.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you do it very, very well. Tell me what it was like writing the book.
Thank you. Well, you know, it was amazing because I started writing the book initially when my wife first went to the cardiologist prior to the heart attack. Actually in 2013, she had to have a stent put in. And so in 2013, she had the stent put in. You know, I was just hearing from God as to, you know, which direction he want me to go, you know, when she had the first stent put in. Then a year later, when she had to go back for another stent put in, then I began to hear God saying, son, that is something going on, not with only the blockage in her heart that this stent had to go in, but I'm leading you to be an eye opener once again to the blockages of the hearts of marriages in the world. So I started writing a book. So the Lord said, son, put in print, Marriage Cardiology. So I began to write the book. So when I began to write it in 2016, though, is when I started writing the book. I finished it, and it was really wonderful writing it because I had to hear from God. I couldn't go on my own natural instinct. I had to hear from the Spirit of God. As God was giving me these words, I tell you, it was so amazing because I began to see how he began to gel our relationship together. I see how he began to build a love in us together. So I wanted, when I wrote it in 2016, 2017, I finished the book. I wanted to publish it right then, Logan, because I was excited. But the Lord spoke to me and said, son, don't publish it yet in 2017. So I held it in 2017. So it was 2018 when my wife suffered the heart attack. So when she suffered the heart attack in 2018, the Lord spoke back to me again. And he said, son, that's why I didn't want you to release it in 2017, because there was more to come. And that's when the heart attack came. And so the Lord, so then that's why I printed it in 2019, because God wanted me to show the world in marriages that in it, even though attacks come in the marriage, because that's what it was a heart attack, but what the Spirit of the Lord was sharing with me, it was the attack on the marriage as a whole. It's an attack. So I had to hold off. I printed it in October of 19. My original copy came out in October 2019, which stated that health conditions, not church, as the definition. Once again, that's when 2020 came that brought all of us under a health condition that caused coronavirus, which the Lord didn't reveal that to me. He revealed only to me health condition, not church. And then once again, 2020, my home church, Logan, was closed during the pandemic for 2 years. For 2.5 years, my home church was closed. And so when I go back and I look at what the Lord revealed to me that I really prophesied, I go, wow, Lord, you are saying something to marriages. And I'm blessed by God that he used us to be able to bring some insight to marriages across the world.
Absolutely. And we're blessed that you put it down so eloquently in writing, that your words were inspired. And it's quite a wonderful book. I think it's essential for any married couple to read, to have on hand, to revisit time and time again when those temptations, when those dark periods, when those attacks happen. Tell me a little bit about your church.
Yeah, well, actually, now, Book of Mathews Ministries is we are actually is a ministry where we minister to. I do ministry first of all with the prison ministry, which is a whole nother story. I want to mention to you about too, Logan, the prison ministry that we do. I worked at a men's prison when I left. Iraq, the Lord spoke to me that because Iraq being a place actually was prior to Iraq being the Garden of Eden, the Lord put something in my spirit about the man. So what my church does, it rather not a church, but the ministry that we have, again, we do prison ministry. And we do nursing home ministries. We do, I'm working on a ministry that I call Ministers for Health Ministry. This is that I will be, we did work with a ministry for bringing health to ministers, because unfortunately, I've witnessed so many of our young ministers are living unhealthy lives. And so I'm working on a ministry, our ministry will be able to bring great health of showing great men how to maintain great health. So that's what the ministry mostly focuses on. And we're excited about where we're going in 2023 with our ministry.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm sure you're glad to be back out there among the people again, preaching again, ministering again, because COVID was such a hard time where people couldn't get to church, they couldn't connect with family. So there's some promise for 2023, I would think.
Absolutely, Logan. We're really looking for a great outlook in 2023 as it relates to where God has taken us in the ministry. And I just meant, as I mentioned to you, one of the things that our ministry is really connected with, again, is with the prison ministry, and which is once again the things about the prison. And again, I worked at a prison for men for 6 years that God allowed me to go, because once again, this is connected to still with the marriage. God spoke to me and said, we've got to find out what are the things that how to we influence men, and what are the things that's going on with men, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, it is a wonderful book and it is highly recommended. It is called Marriage Cardiology 101, Knowing the Symptoms of Marriage Heart Trouble. It is written by Jeff Mathews. It is available everywhere books are sold, including on Amazon. Jeff Mathews, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight. And I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.